Hey folks, welcome to the Power of Zero show. I am your host, David McKnight, best-selling author of The Power of Zero, Look Before You LERP, The Volatility Shield, and most recently, Tax-Free Income for Life. By the way, you can buy all of those books on Amazon. If you want to buy them in bulk, you can go to davidmcknightbooks.com. If you're looking for someone to help you navigate all of the pitfalls that stand between you and the 0% tax bracket, why not head over to davidmcknight.com and opt in for a strategy session? We're happy to hook you up with one of our qualified, trained, vetted, elite Power of Zero advisors. And if you're a financial advisor looking to level up your game and help transition your practice to the 0% tax paradigm, head over to powerofzero.com. I'm very excited to introduce today's guest. Tom Hegna has been a friend of mine for a long time. Many of you know that he wrote the foreword to my recent book, Tax-Free Income for Life. He is generally understood in the industry to be the father of guaranteed lifetime income. In a non-COVID world, he does about 200 speaking engagements per year. He is a best-selling author of Don't Worry, Retire Happy, as well as Paychecks and Playchecks. And you can learn more about Tom at tomhegna.com/webinars. So sit back, relax, and enjoy today's interview with my good friend, Tom Hegna. Tom Hegna, welcome to the Power of Zero show.
Hey, David, great to be your guest today.
You know, as I was reflecting on how we first met, and you and I have been on the speaking circuit for so long, but it was always like you were on one day at an event, and I was on another day at events. So we were always speaking at the same events, but we were like two ships passing in the night. And it wasn't until a couple of years ago that we actually met at an event because we were speaking at the same time on the same day. So I've long admired your work, and we haven't really become friends until a couple of years ago, but I consider it an honor to be your friend. And of course, you wrote the foreword to my most recent book, Tax-Free Income for Life, which is really going gangbusters. And so really welcome you to the Power of Zero show. And today we're going to talk to you about something that I think you have the ability to address better than just about anyone else in the industry, and that is how to respond to the typical objections that we hear when it comes to annuities. Now, we've long known that the likes of Ken Fisher and Susie Orman and Clark Howard, they have long had bad things to say about annuities, and annuities, even in the financial services industry, has sometimes been a verboten term. And what I hope that you can do today is to dispel all of the myths around annuities, specifically annuities that are set up to generate guaranteed lifetime income. So why don't we start off by asking you why annuities have become such a verboten term? What is the bone that Ken Fisher has to pick with annuities? What's the big deal here?
Well, you know, I wrote an article, Why Ken Fisher Really Loves Annuities, and you should too. And I'll have your listeners, they can Google that. It got picked up and is published on the internet. But look, Susie Orman's changed her tune. So now Susie Orman does support income annuities. She was against them for years. And really, Ken Fisher, when he talks about, nosebleed level fees or whatever, he's talking about variable annuities because, as you know, income annuities don't have fees. SPIAs don't have fees. DIAs don't have fees. Fixed annuities don't have fees. Fixed indexed annuities, base fixed indexed annuities don't have fees. So most annuities are not even fee products. That's one of the big myth busters. Everybody thinks annuities are so expensive. Most annuities aren't even fee products. But let me get to Ken Fisher. So Ken Fisher's deal is, he's got high fees too. And so he couldn't pick on Vanguard. He couldn't pick on Fidelity. They got lower fees than him. So, and if you think about it, David, there's a lot of things that have high fees. I mean, real estate, it's 5 or 6%. That's a pretty big fee. Options, futures, they have fees and premiums built into them. Hedge funds are very expensive. Commodities are very expensive. There are a lot of things that have higher fees. But the reason he picked variable annuities is because he had to have something that his people could say, just sign here, sign here, sign here, and transfer it over, okay? And the problem with all of that is Okay, so variable annuities do have higher fees than mutual funds. Of course they do, because they have guarantees that those funds don't have. And so what he's doing is he's taking money out of variable annuities that have a high fees. He's moving it to him that has pretty high fees, but he doesn't have the guarantees. And so the reason that I say he will hate them in the future is because, as you know, markets don't always go up. They can go down and stay down for a very long period of time. And when he takes people out of products that have guarantees and he puts them in a high fee fund that doesn't have guarantees, when that market does go down, he will hate annuities then, because I think he's probably going to get sued by a lot of people for getting them out of guaranteed type products.
Yeah, I've always told people if what you're after is no fees, why not put all your money in a savings account? There's no fees in a savings account, and it's not really about the cost. It's not really about the fees. It's about the value that you get in exchange for the fees that you're paying. So it's always been, examining that relationship between what you're paying and then what you're getting in exchange for what you're paying. So, okay, so we often hear people say, and I hear this. You'll hear people say, I don't believe in life insurance. You'll also hear people say, I don't believe in annuities, as if it were some sort of a religion. How do you respond to that?
Well, I think Tony Gordon handles the life insurance one best. He said, look, you don't have to believe in it. It's not a religion. All life insurance is a risk transfer vehicle from a family that would be devastated if the breadwinner dies to an insurance company that's what they do for a living. They pay death claims. They know that if they insure 1,000 people every year, a couple of them are going to die, and they're prepared for that. But a family is not prepared to lose their breadwinner. So with life insurance, it's simply a risk transfer vehicle. With annuities, same thing. It's transferring risk of living too long to an insurance company, because remember, an annuity is the only product in the world you can buy that will guarantee you'll never run out of money. It guarantees you will never, ever, ever run out of income, that as long as you're breathing, that paycheck is coming. And as you know, David, medical technology is developing so rapidly that life expectancies are going to go up. Now, I know some people are going to say, oh, they actually went down because of COVID. Okay, there can be instances, short-term instances, where it can go down. But overall, all these medical breakthroughs in developing the vaccine for COVID, now they're focusing on Alzheimer's, and they're focused on diabetes and cancer and heart disease. And as they cure some of these, people are going to live longer and longer. And so living too long is really the number one risk in retirement. It's called longevity risk.
There's a book written by Albert Brooks where he goes forward in time about 20 years, and he says he sort of envisions this sort of dystopia where they've cured cancer, they've cured Alzheimer's, they've cured all these diseases that curtail life, but the flip side of it is they now have these people that are living really long lives, and the government can't afford to pay for Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. So yeah, we're going to be living longer and longer lives. There's no doubt about it. As far as the life insurance goes, I always like to tell people, look, you don't have to love life insurance. You don't have to love life insurance companies. You just have to like them a little bit more than you like the IRS, because in the end, someone's getting your money, and you just assume get something useful in exchange for that money.
Yeah, and David, my message ties in right with what you're saying, because what I tell people is spend your money. You're supposed to spend all of your money. Don't leave money to your kids. Leave life insurance to your kids. Don't leave money to charity. Leave life insurance to your charity, because you can buy it for pennies on the dollar. And so people would, but see, they've been trained, David, their whole lives not to touch their 401k. Oh, we can't touch that. We got to grow it. We got to save it. We got to protect it. Yeah, you're supposed to do that until you get to retirement. And then you're supposed to spend it down. Don't leave your IRA to your kids. That's the worst money to leave. Leave life insurance to your kids. And so, like, we're singing the same tune kind of from different perspectives, but it comes down to use life insurance to go to others and use your money to go to you.
Yeah, I've noticed that one of the reasons why people have a lot of money at retirement is because they've done such a good job of scrimping and saving along the way. You can't really save a couple $1 million by retirement unless you've scrimped and saved along the way, but they have a really hard time transitioning out of the scrimping and saving mode to actually being able to spend that money. And so what they do is they end up leaving a lot of it to their kids. And as you like to say, they forwent the golf membership or the trip around the world or the new boat, and they're trying to protect their money. And then their kids get it. And what do? They buy the new membership, they buy the boat, they take the trip around the world with your money, right? That's one of your lines that I've always really thought.
And so we could just get people to spend their money. And like I said, they've been programmed to spend their paychecks while they're working, but save and not touch their 401ks and IRAs. Well, then when you get to retirement, that's why you need to turn some of that IRA and 401k into those paychecks and playchecks. That was the name of the first book I wrote, because you want to have these, because you're used to spending paychecks and playchecks, but you're not used to spending your 401k. So turn some of it into this guaranteed lifetime income, because David, it's the spending of money in retirement that allows you to enjoy your retirement. It's the travel, it's the dinners out, it's the bottles of wine with your friends. And that's how you enjoy a retirement, not by, having this multi-million-dollar account somewhere that you're not ever going to touch and that you're living this just in case retirement. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to help people actually enjoy their retirement.
And as you like to say, in retirement, every day is Saturday. And what do you do on Saturday? You spend a lot of money.
Yep, that's correct.
Let's move on to the next objection that we sometimes hear, and that's that I'm too young to have an annuity.
Well, I mean, maybe they are, but here's what I would say. Any money that you want for retirement, if you say this is my money that I want for after 59 and a half, that's appropriate for annuities. Annuities are not for a down payment on a first house. They're not for your children's college education. They're not for money you need prior to 59 and a half. But after 59 and a half, they can be one of the better places to put your money, depending on what your goals are.
Is there an age below which you would not encourage someone to consider an annuity?
Well, I mean, normally, like I've got kids that are, in their 20s, and I've got kids who are in their 30s. And, maybe some of the 30-year-olds should start thinking about having income in retirement, but really it's something really, I think, mainly for your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. That's kind of it. But if you have a real diligent saver who wants to save money and they just don't like to lose money in the market, they want to make as much as they can make, but they don't want to lose what they've already got, that's what an annuity can do for you. Or if you want to start buying chunks of income, like imagine, David, if when we were 30, we would have bought $1,000 a month of income to start when we're 65. It would have been very cheap. And then when we're 32, we would have bought another 1,000. And then when we're 34, we'd bought another 1,000. And by the time we're 65, we could add 20, 30,000 a month of guaranteed lifetime income, and it wouldn't have been all that painful if we would have spread it out. So I think if people would start thinking about having income rather than just building this pile of money, it's not about the pile of money, it's about what do you do with the pile of money. And the younger you are and the longer you delay, the higher your guaranteed payout rate is on some of these deferred income annuities.
So Tom, when people ask you, do you practice what you preach, what do you tell them?
I own 11 annuities. I don't sell any. So I don't care if people buy. I don't get paid a commission if people buy or don't buy. I don't care if they buy or don't buy. I own 11 of them. And if these were dumb products, if these were stupid products, I would own 0 of them. But David, on your point, I have a lot of money in annuities, but I have even more in cash value life insurance, because I believe tax-free income in retirement is going to be very, very, very important for all those things you're talking about, the debt, the unfunded obligations. It's taxes are going to have to go up a lot, and people aren't planning for that.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's something that we really focused on in the movie that you appeared in. I often quote you. You say at the very, it's the line at the very end of the movie trailer. It's the last thing people are left with at the end of the movie trailer. If this, when people retire, the stock market goes up. I can't remember what you said.
I said
taxes go up, the stock market goes down. What are people going to do if they're not prepared?
Yeah, if taxes go up and the market crashes, what are they going to do? And I think there's going to be a lot of people in that boat, unfortunately, and we're both trying to save them from getting capsized in that storm.
Very good. All right, let's talk about the liquidity issues that the perceived liquidity issues that people have with annuities. What are they missing?
Well, I mean, first of all, liquidity is not a one-time event, it's a lifetime event. So when you buy additional lifetime income, you are increasing your lifetime liquidity. But annuities, annuities are not for money that you want to have in a month or 2 months or a year or 2 years. Annuities are really a longer term thing. And so you don't want to put your emergency money in an annuity. You don't want to put your down payment for a first home or a kid's college. That's not what it's there for. It's there to provide you income, for the rest of your life. Now, with deferred annuities, with annuities that you just put money into and it grows for a while and then you can turn it into income in the future, well, many of them have liquidity provisions. A lot of them have a 10% withdrawal every year. So if you put in $500,000, you can take out $50,000 a year without a penalty. Some is cumulative. So if you don't do it for 5 years, you could take out $250,000. That's where you got to really look at the contract. And if liquidity is something that's important to you, you might want to find a contract that maybe has 20% liquidity or cumulative liquidity. But for me, the more liquidity they build into a policy, like they can build in more liquidity, but then they're going to have to lower some of the things you get in the long term. And so for me, I keep my liquid money out of my annuity, and then I use this to increase my lifetime liquidity. And so, I tell people it's not an all or nothing thing. You should not put all of your money into life insurance. You should not put all of your money into annuities. You should not put all of your money into a CD. It's about balance, and it's about diversification and proper allocation.
Yeah, and it's like you discuss in your book, Paychecks and Playchecks, and I discuss in my recent book, Tax-Free Income for Life. If you're relying on your stock market portfolio and what was formerly the 4% rule, now the 3% rule, funding your lifestyle in retirement by way of a stock market portfolio, if you have to adhere to that 3% rule, is an awfully expensive way of going about funding your retirement. If you guarantee a portion of your lifetime income by way of an annuity, it's actually much less expensive to do so than by way of the stock market approach. And that's going to free up a lot of money in your stock market portfolio that you will have liquidity on in the meantime. And so I like to tell people that annuities actually create more liquidity because you don't have to have as much money earmarked for that 3% rule that's going to be charged with, meeting all of your lifestyle needs in retirement. So
yeah, Curtis Cloak talks about holding your money hostage, and it takes, $1 million has to be held hostage just to get 30,000 of income in retirement if you use a stock market portfolio. But you could get that same income for maybe 600,000 in an annuity, and then that other 400,000 is truly liquid. You could do anything you want with it. So yeah, people double count assets. They say, oh, that's liquid, but they're taking income off it. Well, then it's not really liquid,
Yeah. And can you talk about Curtis Cloak also talks about the permission slip. When you have an annuity, you get a permission slip. Can you reference what he's talking about there?
Well, and I think life insurance gives you a permission slip too, because,
right.
The fact that we bought life insurance to go to our kids gives us the permission to spend all of our money. And the fact that you have money in an annuity, it gives you the permission to invest more aggressively elsewhere. And I'll just give you an example. I've been an advocate for people putting 1% of their portfolio into Bitcoin. I came out with that about 2 years ago. Well, I did a post about 2 weeks ago, and everybody thought my account got hacked. Oh, this can't be Tom Hegna. He's all about guarantees. What's he talking about? Bitcoin. He must have been hacked. I said, I'm not hacked. And I said, this is not contrary to what I talk about. I talk about you need to have guaranteed lifetime income to protect your basic expenses. I talk about you want to have life insurance to go to your kids. But one of the other key tenets is to optimize the rest of the portfolio to protect yourself against inflation. And all I said is a 1% exposure to Bitcoin is not dumb, because I'll tell you, David, I did it. And that 1% has been the best investment I've ever made in my life. I was a big Bitcoin non-believer, but I've now said I think a 1% exposure is less risky and more prudent than a 0%, and I'm holding to that. I don't want you to put 10% or 100% of your money there, but 1%. And by having guarantees in your portfolio, that gives you the permission slip to do things like that.
That's exactly right. All right, let's talk about interest rates. We know that we're at historical lows as far as interest rates go, and some people see that as a disincentive, if you will, to use annuities because they feel like they're not as effective. So how would you respond to that?
Well, Dr. Wade Pfau wrote an entire paper. It got published in Forbes even. And he says that in this low interest rate environment, annuities are way more efficient than normal because the mortality credits in the annuities haven't changed. And so the mortality credits are high. The interest rate portion is not that big of a portion in an income annuity anyway. It's mainly principal and mortality credits. And as you get older, the interest rate matters less and less and less. So like for an 82-year-old, almost very, very small portion of their paycheck is due to interest rates. Most of it's due to principal and mortality credits. And so, I would say, when people say, oh, it's not a good deal because interest rates, I say, compared to what? compared to what? You put in a money market fund, you get 0.10. You know,
Yeah.
you buy a CD, you're getting 1%, and these annuities can guarantee you 5, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14% guaranteed for the rest of your life, depending on your age. I mean, especially for older people in their 70s and 80s. Why be in the market when you can have a 12 or 13% guaranteed payout rate every year for the rest of your life? Why would you want to be in the market? The whole reason you're in the market is to get 12% over time.
And can you define quickly for our listeners mortality credits and tell us why that's such a powerful concept?
Mortality credits are extra money from the risk pool that you get paid the older you are and the longer you live. And so, for example, like the insurance company doesn't know when I'm going to die, and they don't know when you're going to die. But if there were 1,000 people on this call, they would know almost to the exact month how long that 1,000 people will live. And they know half the people will live longer and half the people will live shorter. And because they know that, they can pay all of us a higher paycheck because they don't have to know who's going to die or when they're going to die. They just know that out of 1,000 people, 500 will die early and 500 will live longer. And so then they can price it different and give you this extra payout. And that extra payout is called the mortality credits. It's the same thing in reverse with life insurance. You know, people say, how can you buy $1 million of life insurance for $20 a month? Well, a 19 or 20-year-old can do that. Oh, that sounds too good to be true. Well, they know not many 19-year and 20-year-olds are going to die. Now, some will, but not many. And so because of that, they can keep the premium really low, and that's the mortality credits of life insurance. But then if you're 90 and you want to buy $1 million of life insurance, it would be very expensive because they know 90-year-olds aren't going to live that much longer. And so it's mortality credits in reverse.
Okay, so that is the end of the first half of my interview with Tom Hegna. As you can see, he is everything that he's billed to be. He is, as I said, generally understood to be the industry leading expert in guaranteed lifetime income. Stay tuned for next week, where we will show you the second half of that interview. And in the meantime, if you're looking for someone to help you navigate all of these principles and incorporate them into your own financial plan, head over to davidmcknight.com. And if you are a financial advisor who's looking to help your clients mitigate tax rate risk and longevity risk within the very same financial plan, head over to powerofzero.com. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at McKnight & If you want to buy any of my books in bulk, head over to davidmcknightbooks.com. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you same time next week.